What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live. Again to the power of the internet. And I know I said that I probably wouldn't have enough time to film another episode of Power of the Internet before Christmas, but you know what? I'm enjoying filming these just so much. And I had so many things I wanted to talk to you about. I decided to take the time before heading down to see friends and family to come in here and sit with you and talk with you. Because you're friends and family too, as far as I'm concerned. So let's get into this Christmas episode, and I hope you enjoy yourself. But before I get into it, let me say you've already given me the best Christmas gift there is by clicking on this video and listening to as much of it as you have the time to listen to. Thank you for doing that. For those of you who want to go above and beyond, there are alternatives. There are channel memberships with tiers as little as $2 a month. And you get access to a bunch of little cute, cool stickers and things along that lines. You can give a little more if you want to as well. There are sponsor links in the description box below. If you're going to use that Christmas money to buy a brand new PC anyway, check out my sponsors, Meta PC. I think you might be excited to spend it there. There's merchandise, t-shirts, posters, all kinds of things you can do to help me continue to produce this series that I'm so passionate about. But no, you never have to do any of that. The simplest thing you can do, you've already done it. Click and enjoy. So starting off, I wanted to talk a little bit about Disney. And I think based on my videos that I've made in the past, whether it's a Star Wars review, a Marvel review, me going to Disneyland, me just talking about this stuff, you're probably aware I'm a Disney adult. That's just the reality of it. I rewatched the films. I'm excited about the next Marvel thing. I'm excited about the next Pixar thing, if I'm being honest with you. I have always been that person. And I think it's pretty obvious as to why people like me exist. But I'll go into it a little bit before we talk about the major topic here. I think when we are younger, we are looking for our own identity. We're looking for that thing that we want to enjoy, right? And for some of us, we have people in our lives that we can imprint on. Some of us, we don't have that. And so we might imprint on a character in a book, a character in a film, and this stuff can become like a cornerstone of our personality. We really like Spider-Man. We really like the Hulk. We want to be Spider-Man. We want to be the Hulk. And so we become these adults that, maybe it's always in the back of our mind and we don't really do a lot with it. But if you're like me, you surround yourself with it. You might get that Marvel tattoo. You might get that Disney tattoo. You might fill your home with plastic garbage, whatever it is you do, right? And I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. Genuinely. Whatever makes you happy, makes you happy. Whatever brings you joy, brings you joy. You should find that thing that makes you happy in this world, and you should enjoy it as long as it's not hurting another person. That's where I draw the line. That's where everyone should draw the line, I think. Enjoy what you enjoy. Don't hurt another person. And during this season of togetherness, that's what I want everyone to do. I hope your favorite thing is under the Christmas tree. I hope you buy other people their favorite things. I hope that everyone out there during their break from work, during their break from school, during their break from life as we know it, I hope you just get to enjoy that thing you love. I don't care if it's an adult thing, chopping wood, accounting. If that's your thing, do it. Also, if it's a video game or if it's a childlike movie, if it's just spending time with family and friends, whatever it is, I hope you get it. Genuinely. As long as you're not harming anybody else. And that's what Disney's always been for me. The parks, I love theme parks so much. I just went to a theme park for Christmas for myself. I spent a couple $100 to go up to Silver Dollar City in Branson, just a couple hours away from my house, and we saw the Christmas lights and we rode Fire in the Hole, one of my favorite dark rides of all time. We ate some good food. We saw some family and friends. We drove around and we played Pokemon Go because, hey, that's free. You can play that anywhere, and it's a great place to play it is Branson. And, I had a good Christmas time. It wasn't exactly flying out to Disneyland, but I am not spending fly out to Disneyland money right now. I don't mind driving 2 hours to Branson, though, especially on a hybrid car. If I had the choice, I probably would have preferred to go to Disneyland, even though that company seems to be dying. And if you look at the news articles, I'm going to bring a few up here. You'll see what YouTubers have been saying for a long time. You got this Evie magazine saying Disney is worried that woke is ruining their brand after consistent flops. That sounds like a YouTube video from 2021, doesn't it? But no, that's a news article. Back to the drawing board. Disney goes unwoke. Inside the Magic. That's insidethemagic.net. Again, sounds like a YouTube video. Disney might be woke, but it's not going bankrupt, says Disney Dining. I don't know. You look at the numbers, it's kind of a scary time to be Disney, I think. Struggling Disney hints its woke politics presents risk to our reputation and brands. Let me say that one again, in case you're passively listening. Struggling Disney hints its woke politics present risks to our reputation and brands. That's the New York Post. And the reason the New York Post is saying that is because Disney has acknowledged it in its latest quarterly earnings. Now, I'll get into it. I've never been big for culture war. I've never been big on picking a side. We all know that. I think in most things in life, it is unnecessary to involve myself in those things. I am not utterly persuasive. I am not particularly intelligent. I am not particularly capable. I don't plan to run for office. I don't plan to impact my local community very frequently or very often. I mostly just want to talk about video games, talk about my life, and live the best life I can. I want to take care of my friends, my family, my community as best I can. And the handful of times I've tried to venture out of that, make videos about what I believe in, tweet about what I believe in, it divided my audience tremendously. That's what Disney's done. Disney has looked at the culture war that the United States is in right now. You know, Disney's the United States company. Even though they make a global brand and global films, they are a United States company, and a large portion of the people that see their stuff is in the United States. The entire world is burning, let's just be honest. But in the United States, we've had a tremendous culture war here, and people are afraid of other Americans now. That's something I never thought I would live to see. There are people that are afraid to talk to each other. When I was growing up, it didn't matter you're left or right, up or down, short or tall, black, white. No matter what you were, you'd say hi to your neighbor. You'd say hi to that guy at the gas station. Right? Now, rednecks are afraid to talk to somebody with purple hair, and purple hair are afraid to talk to rednecks, and everybody's scared. Everybody, and for good reason. Because there are extremists out there who do extreme things. That's the world we currently live in. I'm scared sometimes, too. I don't want to be caught in the crossfire of some politically motivated lunacy from a politically motivated lunatic who has been driven nuts by other lunatics on Facebook or Twitter or Reddit. No, thank you. So Disney looked at this culture war and said, you know what? I know during the 70s and 80s and 90s, we made movies that were above this stuff. We took real life politics, but we used fables and fantasy creatures and fantasy elements to tell these stories in a way that were above the culture war of the day. And dwarves and Bambis and cute little animals and Lion Kings, and they told real stories about real things, but did it in a way that everyone, every child, and a lot of adults could enjoy it. They took the media of the day, hand-drawn animation, and perfected it so that it was such a marvel to look at that even if you were, that rich fat cat that they were taking down in, 101 Dalmatians, you'd still take your kids to see it because it was beautiful to look at and entertaining, well written, well directed. Well, they decided they were just going to get on the ground floor. And, they did something that I think always on paper makes perfect sense. You may not agree with what I'm about to say, but I do feel this way. They began to hire people in the company that were diverse. And there are plenty of people out there, no matter what your walk of life, if you can do the job, hire them. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how you live. If you can do the job, hire them. Simple as that. But in a lot of the cases where they were hiring brand new people, they hired a lot very quickly. And then those people hired a lot of other people quickly. And what you got, I think, at Disney, you got a lot of people who didn't really know what they were doing. They didn't know how to run a multi-billion-dollar brand, household name. Not for any reasons other than the fact that they were just brand new to the job and they all got hired on real quickly. So you had a lot of bad directing, a lot of bad writing, a lot of bad business decisions. And they all impacted the company. And also when you get on the ground level of how they approach these things in their movies and their TV shows, they did it in a way that was no longer above the culture war. Still part of it. Still influencing the world, still making the world a better place, still politically motivated, but doing it in a way that no matter who was watching it, they could enjoy it. They could see themselves in it. They could feel represented. They could feel loved. Everybody can be represented by a beautiful little lion or lioness, can't they? Or by a fairy? Or by a boy who wants to stay young forever? You can feel represented by that. Doesn't matter where you came from in your life. It's a little more difficult when you narrow it in to a very real life analog of a very real life analog person that actually exists. Only the people that are exactly like that most of the time can relate to exactly like that. That's why we have fairy tales. That's why we have fables. That's why we have fantasy stories, to tell complex political ideals. Lord of the Rings, anybody? That's why we have these fantasy creatures and superheroes, to tell complex stories in a way that everybody can relate to it. Disney decided they didn't want to do that anymore. They wanted to just get right into the culture war. But the problem is the country is so divided. The moment you do it, you alienate half of your audience. And there's plenty of people out there that say, fine, they're a bigot. Fine, they're this, fine, they're that. Now, most of these people are not making a decision not to watch this stuff because they're a bigot. They know there's a million movies coming out now. There's a million shows coming out. There's a million things that are streaming. There's plenty of movies that have come out, like Wish, for example, that people, they want to know if it's safe for their kids. They want to know if it's okay for them. They just don't even bother looking into it anymore because they already know what's safe for their kids. Their kids are already into a thing. They're just going to watch that. Why do you need to bother looking up Wish? The new Turning Red. Most parents don't even know what that movie's about. And, a lot of this stuff is made for younger audiences, obviously. And so it's a great idea on paper to introduce a young girl to, I don't know, the Kanda character from Turning Red. Maybe she'll relate to it. Maybe she'll love it. And that's awesome. The problem is a child doesn't buy the tickets. A parent does. You take, for example, these remakes that you're seeing now. Um, certainly, Little Mermaid, perfect example, right? It's a movie that doesn't really need to be remade. Maybe reanimated. That might be interesting. You don't really need to retell that story. It got told really well the first time. The music's great. The voice acting's great. I think it aged fairly well. I don't know if any horrible people happen to make it. I never looked that deep into it. But when you remake it in the way that you did, with the underwhelming music and the underwhelming acting and the underwhelming everything, and then you throw some political stuff in there that wasn't in the original film, you alienate parents. You alienate the people that grew up loving the thing. If you grew up and you really enjoyed Bambi, you loved Bambi so much, you can't wait to watch Bambi as a kid, then you become older and you have children of your own. That's what the Disney Vault was, the VHS tapes, the DVDs. You finally got your hand on Bambi, you set it down and watched it with your 4 or 5 year old child. They were so happy to watch it with you. Now they love Bambi and they grow up and now they raise children. This happened for me with Star Wars. This happened with Lord of the Rings for a lot of people. This happened with Harry Potter for a lot of people. This happened over and over and over and over and again, except when you remake it and you make it political and you make parents feel afraid of it, you make it feel alienating, you make it feel like it's part of the culture war that they don't necessarily even want to participate in. They just want to entertain their child. They just want to entertain their family. People stop showing up to the theaters. People stop buying. That's just the reality of it. Even me, Captain, sat on the fence so long he broke it, who I was a 1990s liberal, which someone jokingly said the other day makes me a right-wing terrorist now, I guess. But as a 1990s liberal, even I'm just exhausted. Just exhausted. Makes me not want to go to Disneyland. Makes me not want to subscribe to Disney Plus. Makes me want to watch my favorites. You know what we're watching right now in this household again? We're just finishing up The Office. We're about to start Parks and Rec. And sure, it's political sometimes and has diversity in it and it's progressive. All of the Michael Schur verse stuff is to some degree. But he tells it in a way that is above it. He tells it in a way that there's a character on each of these shows, whether it's Stanley or Kevin or Jim or Dwight or whoever. There's someone on that show you can relate to. You can put yourself into the feet of most of the time. And just relax and enjoy a comedy, enjoy something funny. And the storytelling and the writing and the acting and everything else is above the politics. The politics is there. It's part of it. And I'm always glad to absorb it, but it's absorbable because it's packaged in such an awesome and fun and enjoyable way. That is what Disney has to learn to do again. I can't believe we are in a world now where news headlines look like a YouTube video from 3 years ago, but those guys were, you hate to admit it, on to something. They really were. I really hope Disney is able to get it back together. There would have been a time where every Christmas tree in this country would have Disney toys underneath it, Disney movies, Disney products. Not so much this year. Families would line up at the theater on Christmas Day to go see a Disney film. What are they watching this year? Certainly not Wish based on the box office receipts, huh? I do think there is a way to fix this. I do think there is a way to course correct. You know, I'm huge on Marvel, obviously. Marvel is kind of a dumpster fire right now. Bad writing, bad directing, bad acting, bad choices for characters. Needs a reboot. I mean, you can't get Robert Downey Jr. back. You can't get Chris Evans back. Or is that, yeah, I'm bad at actor names. I'm good at the character names. I'm bad at the actor names. Can't get Captain America back. You can't get Iron Man back. It's just not going to happen. And a lot of these new characters quote, end quote, are woke. But I don't care about that. I care about just how bad they are, how badly introduced they were, how badly written they are. In some places, how badly casted they were. Reboot it. Especially with Jonathan Majors, who played Kang, getting arrested and of course now found guilty. They dropped him like a hot potato, and they probably should. Once you're found guilty of doing something like that, assaulting a woman, you get the hell out of here. You're not allowed to make kids movies anymore. I'm sorry. Stop hitting women. What a world. What a just fascinatingly bizarre and complex world we live in. But I hope that when I set in here to film a Christmas episode 2 years from now, Disney will have found a way to do what it's always done, the thing that we've always loved it for doing. Be political. Tell stories. Make the world a better place through your stories, but do it right. Write it well. Film it well. Edit it well. Push the technology, and be above the culture war. You don't have to be a soldier in the ranks to get this done. There are other ways to influence the world. You're a media company, for God's sakes. Do what every newspaper learned to do during the revolution. Be bigger, be above it. Tell the stories. Change the world. And do it in an entertaining way, and we will be there for it. It doesn't seem that difficult for Disney to do, because they have done it for almost a century. I think they'll do it again. Here's another thing that I might have to blur in real time, I think. I might not even be able to show you the screen captures from this. I certainly don't even want to see it. But are you aware that Twitch is falling apart? For those of you who don't know, Twitch is this streaming place that originally was just on TV, based for, like stream yourself and real life streams and setting and chatting streams. Eventually, video games really took off there. And the site was very dominated by video games and video game culture for a really, really long time. And then eventually there was a need for people to want to stream themselves just chatting while not playing a video game, and stream themselves in real life doing stuff. So they created categories for that. And those categories ended up being as popular, if not more popular in a lot of cases, than the video game related stuff. And you know what? I'm all about it. I'm all about going back to the roots of Justin TV. I'm all about in real life streams. I'm all about just chatting streams. I'm all about just, whatever you want to stream. If people want to watch it, you should stream it, right? But the rules over at Twitch are always getting pushed by people. I remember a time when I first started streaming on Twitch 15, 16, 17 years ago, however long it's been. They would not let you stream certain mature video games with anime nudity or Grand Theft Auto style stuff. You weren't even allowed to stream that. They wanted to be very family friendly, which is fine. Yeah, they gave you tools that allowed you to mark your stream as mature if you were going to talk about mature subjects, which I always did from the very beginning. And I've always made some weird offensive jokes on Twitch because I really get into my Andy Kaufman roots. Never really put it on my YouTube channel too much, other than through characters like the Jesse Redneck character I did or the Francis character that I did. For the most part, YouTube Boogie's just always been Boogie, Twitch Boogie has always been kind of Andy Kaufman entertaining, because that's what the format was for me. Push the edges, push the envelope. So when these other people want to do that, I say go for it to some degree. But recently, you've seen this battle of, let's just call it what it is, sex workers doing everything they can do to push the envelope over there, right? At one point, we saw these hot tub streams where people are sitting in bikinis, soaking in hot water, attempting to get people to click it and watch it. And people did, and they made small fortunes, and they would use that to promote their other work, and people would follow through. But sometimes people just sit here and watch these bikini streams, which is wild to me. I just don't understand it. I've never done it. Can't imagine I ever would. It's not for me, folks. I'm often afraid that the person it is for teenagers. I'm afraid that it's for people who are 15, 16 years old and their parents have given them access to things like Twitch, but have not given them access to actual adult entertainment. And so they watch those live streams, they watch those YouTube videos, the stuff that peeks through the cracks. Because Twitch has never been about this type of thing. They don't want it on their platform for the most part. But they've always kind of turned a blind eye as best they could as long as they were making money. Amazon eventually bought Twitch, and I thought it was going to get much tighter there. But because of the way the culture has changed, and other websites like Kick, which allow streaming, basically lawless streaming, where you can do just about anything you want over there up to a certain point, they've had to make concessions. So just been doing this little dance with creators over the last few weeks, I think. I don't know. It seems like it's been going on forever. But we had streamers who were nude, men and women, who were cropping themselves so that you could only see the non-dirty parts. But then you could tell they were nude and naked. And then you had people doing body painting, where you can't really see the nudity, but there's just a thin layer of paint over their thing. And all of this Twitch is just constantly going back and forth. And the Twitch community, the people that watch it, they despise it. Most people despise it. There's people that turn in to watch it, but other streamers, they don't want to watch it. Most of the people that watch those other streamers, they don't want to watch it. A lot of us don't even want it on the platform. There are platforms for this stuff. Go there. Do it there. I think a lot of these ones that are doing it on Twitch, they know what they're doing. They're going after these younger adults. They're going after these older teenagers that have access to this stuff but don't have access to those other platforms. I think they know what they're doing. I genuinely do. I think it's kind of weird to do that. Well, Twitch banned these nude streams and then immediately unbanned it and said, we'll allow artistic nudity, and allowed things like twerking and dancing and pole dancing. And then within 24 hours after that, they banned that. Following it up to the new meta, which was to set their nude again, but now this time with censor bars over your wiener. What? Put a black bar over it. Who wants to watch that? Why do you want to watch that? I don't understand. I can't put my brain into that space. Of course, I'm not a 16-year-old boy, so I guess I never will be able to. No, then Twitch banned the censor bar stuff. And bans a lot of the people doing it. So now they're pixelating it. That's the new thing. It's just, look, I try to be as open-minded as a human can be. Really. If you need to do this stuff to get your nest egg, to provide for yourself, provide for your family, do whatever it takes, man. I'll do it if I had to. I'm not above it. But I feel like there's alternatives. And I feel like the biggest issue I have with it is just what a dumpster fire Twitch has turned out to be. Who's running that company? What are you doing over there? How can you not pick a lane and stay in it? If you want this on your platform, go nuts and let it burn. If you want to compete with Kick, do it. And if you don't want it on there, make some rules and stick to them. Apply them to everybody. Do your job. Keep people safe. Apply your rules. Whatever those rules are. I don't even care at this point. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. But at least have some consistency to it. How do you reverse a decision 24 hours after you make it? Why would you make that decision to begin with? Isn't this company owned by Amazon? Is this what Amazon wants? I mean, maybe. Amazon sells about 1 billion adult toys every day. So maybe so. I don't know. But if it is, pick the lane and stay in it. It's truly wild to me. I've gotten shirtless on stream. It's allowed. It's okay. There's nobody tuning in to a naked, topless boogie stream where I take my shirt off for 5 minutes and doing it because they're tantalized. They're doing it because they're disgusted. It's a whole other thing. But if people were attracted to shirtless boogie and they wanted to see it, I guess I'd probably consider doing it. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I do think I'm above censor bars on my wiener, though. But if that's what Twitch wanted to pay me to do, I guess I'd consider doing it if I needed the money. Twitch, you just got to figure it out. Figure it out. I wonder, again, going back to the Disney article, I wonder how much of this is related to the same thing that happened at Disney. You hire the wrong people at the wrong time too quickly. Well, not necessarily the wrong people, just inexperienced people. And they're in there trying to make the difference, but they don't really understand what they're doing yet. And they replace the people that do, and they're just trying to figure it out in a progressive world, in the middle of a culture war, in a constantly changing online world. It's complicated. It's a lot. I'll try to give you all the credit I can. It's Christmas, for God's sakes. But just, man, oh Lord, oh man. If you don't know what you're doing, hire a consulting firm that can help you figure it out. Hire a marketing firm that can help you figure it out. At least listen to your customers. At least listen to your audience. At least listen to the YouTubers and Twitch streamers and other content creators who work on your platform and talk about the rules that they would like to see enforced. I don't think it's a bad way to run your company, to find people who know what they're doing and listen to your customers. Right now, you're doing the opposite of that. Maybe they're looking at the bottom line. Maybe these streamers with the black bars and pixelizations and whatever, maybe they're making the most money, and that's what they realize. So they're just trying to figure out a way to do that. But if you're going to do it, do it. Let it burn. Pick a lane. Here's another thing I desperately wanted to talk about, but I'm trying to stay away from the politics of it. But today, it's a fairly politically charged topic. So if you're not into that, the kind of thing, you want to skip the story, I get it. I understand. And based on your reaction to it, I might not include these types of political things moving forward. It's up to you. You guys help me decide. But this is something I'm very passionate about these days. And I'm hoping talking about it will help you. And since we put it near the end of the video, only the true listeners have made it here anyway, and I trust you. Even if you disagree with me, even if you don't like what I have to say, you can handle it because you're a true trooper. You're a viewer. You're a listener. You're a fan, and I love you for it. So today, we saw the President of the United States pardon thousands of people who were convicted of use and simple possession of the devil's lettuce. If they did it on federal lands in the District of Columbia, they were given executive clemency, as it's called. And, you know, the politics of it, I saw all these different articles saying, oh, it's happening because of this, it's happening because of that, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. Maybe. But that's not what I want to talk about here. What I want to talk about is my experiences with, the wacky weed. I'm saying all of these things in the hope that YouTube doesn't demonetize me, which it probably will, but that's fine. I grew up surrounded by people that did this stuff, as most of us did, because it's always been an extremely popular thing to do. And my experiences with this particular substance made me feel like, I knew it was illegal. And I felt like it must be for a good reason. And I thought everybody around me that was doing it was bad people. And especially when I was growing up, there was programs called like DARE, which is like drug awareness. And you had a talking dog come in and tell you to stay away from this stuff or else you'll go crazy and do murder sprees. And you could also probably end up going to jail for it. And it's just the worst thing ever. And it's a gateway to the other harder stuff. And you'll end up being a homeless person in San Francisco breaking into cars just to get a snack. Ooh, stay away from it, kids. And I did. I grew up thinking less of the people that smoked it. I genuinely was a judgmental prick. Well, fast forward to becoming an adult, I just wasn't around it anymore. Just never saw it, never thought about it. I'd see it on the news, see it in the articles every once in a while, stuff like that. And some of the articles I would see would say, it has medicinal uses and it's useful. There's this old television show. You probably never heard of it. There's a comedy/magician duo called Penn and Teller, and they had a television show called Bullshit. And they went into how marijuana was useful for helping people. And they also went into why marijuana was legal and the effects of it and all the people that gone to jail. And it was very eye-opening for me. I've always wanted to thank Penn and Teller for that. If I ever had the chance, I'd love to say, Penn, thank you for opening my eyes on this particular topic. They opened my eyes on many things on that television show. You can find it on YouTube or wherever else it might be streaming. I think it's highly recommended. Some of it didn't age perfectly, but most of it aged pretty well, truly. And it's a good show. Entertaining at the very least, and I think somewhat informative. But in my own experiences, I have a lot of chronic pain. And as we know, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. So for me, sleep was always about nightmares. I just would go to bed, close my eyes, and start having nightmares. I'd wake up from those nightmares, try to go back to sleep, do it over and over again until I just got exhausted from trying. That's what sleep was for me for a really long time. Well, medical use found its way to Arkansas, and I started asking around whether or not it would be useful for me, and a lot of people were telling me it would be. So I talked to my doctor about it. I got a referral to one of the people that can get you the medical card, and I breezed right through that, but everybody does. Let's just be honest. If you stubbed your toe at one point in your life, you can probably go and get your card. And I went to the dispensary, and I know I don't have lungs to smoke this stuff. I tried once or twice. And even the vapes, I just can't. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. So I got edibles. Plus, I also like candy, let's be honest. And I used it, and I went immediately to sleep, and I slept for 12 hours with dreamless sleep. No nightmares at all, because there were no dreams at all. What a gift that was for me. What a beautiful, wonderful gift. I learned what sleep was like for everyone else because of this medicine. And I say medicine because that is what it can be used as. It can also be used as a fun time, party time, go have nuts time. Go right ahead. If you're not harming yourself and you're not harming other people, go for it. This isn't the hard stuff. This isn't the crazy stuff. This isn't the stuff that's going to ruin your life. Hell, alcohol is more dangerous than this. We don't admit it, but it is. This stuff is relatively safe. You OD on alcohol, you die. You try to OD on marijuana, you're going to sleep real good and feel real confused for a while. I don't know if anybody ever has OD'd on this stuff. And if it can help, and it does, it helps so many people. My girlfriend's got her medical card. She uses it to treat her anxiety, and it does such a wonderful job. I've used it to treat my anxiety. I've used it to get that dreamless sleep that I crave so much. When things are really rough in my brain and in my body and in my mind sometimes, I go ahead, I go back, I get the edibles, and it helps. It helps so much. And it's insane to me that all over this country, there are criminals whose only crime was possession or use of this medicine, which maybe they were using it as a fun time, party time, good time drug. Maybe they were. I don't know. I don't think you should go to jail for that. Yeah, I think if you can legally walk in and order a glass of vodka-flavored poison and poison yourself, you probably should be allowed to smoke this. Some of these people were doing it because it helps. It helps with their broken heart, their broken mind. It helps them relax, helps them enjoy their lives, helps them lubricate their way through the misery that is the human existence. There's a comedian by the name of Seth Rogen. I think we all know him. And Seth Rogen did this interview that I heard not too long ago. And he said that he wakes up and smokes. He smokes all day and he goes to bed smoking. And he does this because it brings him comfort. It allows him to function. He says without it, he would not function as a person. Now, that sounds like addiction to me, but it also sounds like he might be medicating a problem. I can't get through the day without gabapentin these days. I need gabapentin to make my knees and my back feel comfortable enough to where I can stand up and walk and move. It's a medication. It's prescribed by my doctor. It is useful. There's no fun element to gabapentin other than the fact that it makes me a little sleepy after I take it. There's nothing enjoyable about it. It's just a medicine. There's a lot of people out there who can't get through life without their schizophrenia medication. There's a lot of people out there who can't get through life without their pain medication, through their insulin. So if Seth Rogen is dependent on marijuana, I'm dependent on gabapentin. Diabetics are dependent on insulin. We're going to start throwing stones at them along with Seth Rogen? I don't think so. And Seth Rogen is not a burnout. He's not sitting on his couch. He's making movies. He's changing the world. He's out there running businesses. It's my understanding we wouldn't have Invincible on TV if it wasn't for Joe Rogan. Or Joe Rogan, Seth Rogen. So I'm glad. Light up another one, Seth. Go nuts. I don't particularly like you as Donkey Kong, but in the movie, I didn't think you should have been voicing Donkey Kong, but I like some of the stuff you do. And if smoking all day gets you there, do it. At some point, we're going to have to let everybody out of jail for this stuff. There are some, I talked to a cop not too long ago, a mutual friend, a friend of a friend. I was the one and only time I ever had lunch with him, but I asked him, how do you feel about them legalizing it here in Arkansas? And he goes, well, I don't want it fully legalized because we use it as a tool, he said. And I think you can find this online. I think other cops have said something similar. They don't necessarily want to put you in a jail exclusively for possession or exclusively for use. That's a waste of their time. They don't want to do that. They don't want to put you in jail. What they want to do is they want to, if they think you're guilty of a real crime when they pull you over because your car fits the description of somebody else's car who did a real crime, they can say, I smell marijuana, now I have an in. Now I have a way to detain you. Now I have a way to talk to you. Now I have a way to do my job. I guess that makes sense. I'm not really going to try to tell a cop how to do the job because, I definitely will never be a cop in this lifetime. What I will say is there are people who have been arrested for it and they're rotting in jail. And they've done nothing else. Those people. They need their second chance. And honestly, if that's, I think that's what the presidential pardon is for. So use it for it. And for those handful of people, thousands of people, there's probably tens of thousands of people who deserve it. But those thousands of people that just got it, Merry Christmas. Justice is served. Say what you will about, quote, current president, end quote, whoever it is. And you can, and you should. Criticize all presidents, always. Criticize all leaders. Criticize your mayor. Criticize your congressman. Criticize them all. Do it. Say what you will about them, though. This is one good thing. Might be the only good thing they did that you agree with, but I think hopefully you can agree it's one good thing. And let me say, if you're under the age of 21, don't mess with this stuff unless you talk to a doctor and a doctor talks to you and you figure it all out. I'm not here to encourage anybody to do anything they don't feel safe or comfortable doing. And definitely do not break the law. But I will say, if you have legal access to it and you're old enough to make the decision to do it, it could be useful for you. It could be helpful for you. It was for me, and it has been helpful for a lot of people. A lot of people. I don't do it very often. A couple times a year. When my pain is really bad, when my anxiety is really bad, when my brain's a storm, when I'm having trouble sleeping, that's when I go to it. It's not an everyday thing. Probably never will be an everyday thing for me. Probably won't be for you. But if it needs to be, let it. If you can afford it and you need it, I don't see the problem in it. Young Stephen Williams was wrong to judge those people. Young Stephen Williams was wrong to be that person. I'm glad older Stephen Williams has learned. Lord knows, what if I had discovered this stuff in my 20s and it was helpful for me then, and I got real sleep, and I was in less pain, and I was able to function better as a human being. The world could have been completely different, for me at least. Huh. The best time to fix things was when it broke. The second best time to fix something is now. So that's why we fix it now. All right, it's Christmas. And I do want to leave you on a positive note here instead of just complaining about things and about the state of the world. I want to tell you some fun Christmas stories, if that's okay. It's one in particular, but on the screen right now, you're going to see some Christmas trains. And I think I've told you guys in other videos, but not in this series, about the Santa train. I grew up in St. Paul, Virginia, which was a smaller, impoverished area. And we didn't have a tremendous amount of money in that area. You know, we were the sons of coal miners, but a lot of the coal mines had shut down. A lot of people were out of work. A lot of people had moved away, so the other businesses in the area were suffering too. There just wasn't a lot of money to be had. And it kind of stank a little bit. But the companies that did these railroad tracks that hauled the coal and other things through that area, they started putting Santa Claus on a caboose every year and have him visit all the different smaller towns and some of the bigger ones too, and toss out candy and toys and school supplies to kids. I remember doing that as young as probably 6 or 7 years old, so it certainly was happening in the early 80s. And I looked, it happened in St. Paul, Virginia just last year. I think that's so amazing. I'd love to go back and do that sometime. I mean, maybe film it for YouTube. I don't necessarily mean catching the candy and tablets and drawing supplies and stuff like that. But would it be cool to be on that train and be one of the volunteers that gives Santa Claus this candy or gifts to hand out and wave at the kids and bring a little bit of Christmas joy? I think that'd be amazing. We went up to Branson, and me and Desi, my girlfriend, she's had her challenges in her life, and I've had my challenges in our lives, and not every Christmas was fantastic. Some were good, some were not. But I thought it was just such a wonderful gift to both of us. And I, going up to Branson on a budget's not ideal, right? But it's good. You can do it. It's only a 2-hour drive from my house, And so our city tickets, not that cheap. But once you're in the park, everything's pretty much free. And we did a ride along on this coal-burning train that goes through the entire theme park. And we sang Christmas carols together, and we heard the story of the first Christmas told by one of the actors there out in a field. And we saw the Christmas lights. That place has 6.5 million Christmas lights. We attended the lighting of the tree, and it was such an incredibly wholesome Christmas. And I think not just because of the activities that we did, but the people I was with, it was probably my best Christmas yet. It's wonderful to get to share my first Christmas with Desi, and there's going to be plenty more to come. But I got to see my friend Jacob, the carpetbagger, and other people in my life that mean a lot to me there. My friends that live in Branson and family, and of course, there's more family to come. We're packing up today to head out to see her family. Christmas was not great sometimes growing up. But every time I ever want to tell a good story about my mom, there's one Christmas that always comes to mind. And Christmas in my home was weird. Mom liked to divide up Christmas. There's 2 piles of presents. Tell me in the comments section, is this something a parent of yours ever did? There's the presents that Mom and Dad got us, and then there's the presents that Santa Claus got us. And Mom and Dad generally would get us like one big toy, the Nintendo or whatever crazy thing it was, but then there'd also be the socks and the underwear and the less interesting stuff that a younger kid would care about, right? Those would come from Mom and Dad, and then Santa would bring the crazy things. And we'd also go to bed early on Christmas Eve, and then a couple hours later wake up and after Santa had been there, unpack all of the presents. Christmas Day was about the food and the relaxation. Christmas Eve was about opening the presents. Don't know a lot of families that do that, but that was ours. And we also did the milk and cookie things, but I was obsessed with Rudolph. Who knew? A differently abled, weird, bullied reindeer. Why would I imprint on that character? Who knows? What a weird thing to happen, right? It's almost as if I was Rudolph, as so many of us are. But we'd also put out carrots and celery for Rudolph to eat. And my parents would, of course, take a bite of the cookie and drink the milk. And, of course, they would take a few bites of the celery and carrots so that it looked like Rudolph had been there as well. And I remember a few years, someone even getting up on the roof and jangling jingle bells while I was trying to sleep for the hour or two they had me lay down. And one year I woke up and I came into the living room excited, and there are all the gifts that Santa has brought. And there's my mom, and she is covered in 4 or 5 blankets, and she's shivering. And I said, Mom, are you okay? She says, I'm okay, Stevie. Open your presents. So I start going through the presents, and I find all the different things, and I'm showing it to my parents, and I'm so excited. And at the end of it, Mom looks at me, and still shivering, still hair soaking wet, covered in all these blankets. She says, did you get everything you wanted? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I think we all told that lie. Even if you didn't get the thing you wanted, you'd say, I got everything I wanted. Christmas spirit and all. I think we all know that to do that when we're young. But she says, didn't Santa forget something? And I'm like, oh, he might have. It's okay. And she goes, well, actually, I have a story to tell you, Stephen. I know you wanted that thing. I don't even remember what the thing was. That's how unimportant the things actually are. I do remember, I think a video game system, Atari, was very important to me when I was a kid. I think there was a board game I really wanted at one point. There was a red fire truck that I wanted to drive. My dad was a volunteer fireman for a while, and I wanted to be like my dad in that regard. So it was one of those probably. And she says, I know Santa forgot it. So I crawled up on the roof, and I got in the back of the tray to grab it for you. And the next thing I know, after I found it, I looked up, and I was all the way on the other side of the country. He was giving out gifts in California, and I was on somebody else's rooftop. And so Santa came back to the sleigh, and I said, hello, Santa. And he says, Wanda, what are you doing here? And I said, Santa, you forgot something for my son. And I got up here to get it for you. And he goes, well, Wanda, that's wonderful for you. Can I take you home? And so he flew me all the way home. But Stephen, you have no idea how cold it is in the back of that sleigh. I froze my balls off. There was icicles in my hair. There was snow on my shoulders. And I got home. The first thing I did was jump into a hot shower to try to warm myself up. And I'm still freezing to this moment. Oh my gosh, come give me a hug. And I did. I crawled on top of her 4 or 5 blankets and I gave my wet mom a hug. And then she took me into the kitchen where the gift, whatever it was, lay. And she gave me that. And, I don't remember the stuff. I don't remember the stuff. It's nice to get the stuff, There's a few toys. There's a few games. There's a few things that I do remember. But 99% of the time, what I remember is the act itself, the act of going out into the world and earning what you have to earn to take care of your friends and family, to take care of the people you love. What I remember is braving the elements and braving the crowds to go to Black Fridays and knock the hell out of each other and try to get that thing, that all-important thing that seems so important in that moment in time when it's just cloth and fabric and toys and plastic and garbage. It's just garbage. It is. It really is. Sometimes it's something you need. Sometimes it's something you absolutely can't live without, but most of the time it's just a want. Most of our wants we don't need. All right? At the end of the day, it's about the act of taking care of the people you love and showing that you can do it in the darkest, coldest, worst time of the year. It's why we light the trees. It's why we light up our neighborhoods, to push back the dark. It's why we give the gifts, to make sure that everyone around us has everything they need. It's a wholesome holiday. It really can be. It's commercialized. It's capitalized. Everything is. But at its nature, it's truly wholesome. Especially when you get into the reason for the season. But I ain't here to preach that. But I do want to say, I hope that you have the best possible Christmas. You truly deserve it. And if this season is not the best for you, if you're going through something, if you're trying to get to where you want to be still, if you're struggling and you've been pushed a few steps back, it's okay. It happens to the best of us. Always remember, there's always next year, and there's a whole year between this Christmas and the next one, and so much can happen in a year. And I hope that it's good. I know that it will be. So there you go. One unadulterated hour of boogie under your Christmas tree. I hope I filled your stocking well, and I hope you like what I filled it with. If you're feeling particularly generous and you want to see a Christmas gift beyond your patronage and your listening, don't forget there's all kind of links down in the doobly-doo. And of course, you got to have a keyword. I want to know. I'm dressed as Santa, but I know you might have dressed up as Santa as well. I know you might have some stories about Santa. Maybe that one Santa that you went and saw one year that creeped you out. Maybe Santa coming down your chimney. You've got a good Christmas story about Santa in your brain somewhere. I want to read them in the comments section below. And if you don't have a good story, just use the keyword Santa, and I'll know that you made it all the way to the end of this hour-long Christmas episode of Power of the Internet, and God bless you for doing it. As always, everybody, thank you for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again soon. And a Merry Christmas to all my ho-ho-hos out there.